Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems and want to tell you welcome to this afternoon's Wednesday's webinar. Today, we are going to be talking about what questions you should be asking about investing in a franchise. My name is Eric Auger. I'll be one of your co-hosts this afternoon with Patrick Phillips and looking forward to going over this webinar with you. So thank you very much. Again, my name is Eric Auger, and I'll be one of your co-hosts for this afternoon. Let me tell you a little bit about American Business Systems. ABS has been around for 28 years. Obviously, this year is going off very strong, coming out of what we know as the pandemic. And matter of fact, Patrick and I and several other folks here at ABS had a huge roundtable of current business owners this last Friday, and the excitement of what's going on with them, of what they're doing out in the marketplace and getting in front of doctors and everything that's going on over there on that particular side. We had a wonderful time, and obviously we see how strong that American Business Systems is. Being strong means that we've got great partnerships, and partnerships are everything from NextGen to Dynamax to Send Out Cards to Doctable to Compliancy Group. This is just a small sampling of some of the people that ABS has partnered with to make you strong and very attractive there out in the marketplace. Speaking of NextGen, NextGen is what powers our iClaim and EMRX platform. NextGen has been around for years. Matter of fact, the platform that is currently that we have here was actually not even a NextGen product a few years back, but NextGen saw it and bought it, and now we've got even greater support than we've ever had in the past. So that's a great partnership relationship that we have. The founders of American Business Systems is Patrick and Linda Phillips. Yes, Linda was one of the true founders, because she was actually doing billing several years back. And so yeah, that's an awesome thing that Linda and Patrick started. Again, way over 30 years, but doing business in 28 years. And then here's a picture of Patrick and his family whenever they just got started there. And you'll see Patrick and Adam right there. And now Adam is now the CEO, and as Patrick is just one of the founders. So Adam has pretty much taken over, and he has both of them have written books, as you can see here. Patrick has written the New Thriving Medical Practice with Dr. Vicki Rackner, and Adam has his recent book released, 9 Ways Doctors Let Money Slip Through Their Fingers, and that is also co-authored by Dr. Vicki Rackner. Both Patrick and Adam are contributors to a magazine called Billing and Coding Magazine that comes out bi-monthly. So if you get a chance to pick up one of those, that's awesome. Patrick is one of the co-founders of an organization called MIRMA. MIRMA is the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. And that organization is the organization that we do a lot of marketing on the outside of ABS for our business owners. It is also a kind of a think tank for all of our business owners out there on the other end, but it's also the group that will certify you as a medical revenue manager. So that's where you're going to get your certification from MIRMA. I tell you, without any further ado, I've got Patrick on here. Patrick, good afternoon. Looks like you're in the boardroom, so it's good to see you, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, Eric, looks like you're in your home. Right?
I am in my home.
Yeah.
That's where I am. And those are real books. Those are not virtual books. I could actually reach up and grab a
book. Sure. You know, you just want to look smart, don't you? Anybody who has books in the background just wants to look smart.
Absolutely. It's amazing what you can pick up at a garage sale, right?
Yeah, Eric, you know, we have a lot of questions asked about our opportunity as people come to these webinars. I'm sure that they're thinking of their own questions, and we're encouraging you to put those questions in the Q&A box today, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got some that we just heard over and over again down through the last, 28 years. And so we thought we'd just address those that are, some of them real basic, like this one. How did ABS begin? Eric kind of touched on that a while ago, but my wife actually started doing billing for a durable medical equipment company. Yeah, you can do billing for people who bill Medicare, you know, for hospital beds and oxygen and wheelchairs and things like that. And this fellow had been running his business for some time, doing his own billing, using a manual typewriter, Eric. Yeah.
Yeah.
typing out every one of those claims on a manual typewriter. And of course, they're multi-part. So it takes you a long time if you make a mistake, because you're going to go in and correct all the parts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But anyway, he asked Linda if she could do the billing, and she said, well, I don't know. I've never done one, but I could sure learn. So he brought her in the office. About 2 days later, she was doing medical billing. So it's not, it's not brain surgery. It's not like somebody couldn't go out and learn this on their own.
Yeah,
Eric, you've seen
absolutely.
all these. There's a lot of courses out there on how to do medical billing and how to learn about coding and things like that. But we just kind of simplified it for everybody and put it all business in a box, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I mean, and people see those boxes sometime we put up there that has iClaim and EMRX, and you don't actually get those little white boxes shipped to you. You do get a couple of boxes, but and it has all your marketing equipment. But yeah, Patrick, I mean, the growth that ABS started, I mean, as I look back at my calendar, it was 14, 15 years ago whenever I started with you, and really all you had was a billing platform. And if I recall correctly, it came out on one of those things called a CD. I think that's what it came out on.
Yeah. Well, it might have been a DVD. I mean,
it could have been.
Yeah,
could have been.
It was basically something you had to install on your computer hard drive, and therefore all of the patient data was there on your hard drive. And so if your computer got stolen or burned up or lost or whatever, there's all that data out there. And that kind of breaks a few of those HIPAA rules, for HIPAA rules for privacy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if anybody has any other questions for Patrick and how they got started, but I mean, Patrick, 28 years is a good long time. I mean, that shows some stability. And so if people are thinking about getting into a business opportunity or a franchise, and you know what, and part of it, to be fair, there's some really good franchises out there that may be 1 or 2 or 3 years old, but again, I'm sure they're still working out a few bugs, because at 28 years, we're still working out bugs, right?
Things change. This industry is that's definitely why you want somebody who will give you support.
Yes.
Not just for a year or 2 years, but I mean, for as long as you're doing business with them, they should be supporting you, right? That's why we have unlimited lifetime support.
Yes, absolutely. But now you've made some changes over the last couple of years. This whole history of American business systems has changed, and now you've got Adam Phillips running the company as the CEO. And while you kind of chat about that and tell us when that occurred, I'll put up a picture of both of you here in a second.
It's funny because Adam and I were actually chatting about that today, and he was just kind of thanking me for having started the company and, got him into it a few years back. He's been with us maybe, 12 or 13 years at least. And you know what? It was a fun business to run as a company because we could run it from anywhere. We literally traveled as a family. Anytime we wanted to go anywhere, we just packed up our laptops and, just took the business with us. Basically, as long as you have an internet connection, you can run this business from, the beaches of Hawaii if you wanted to.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the business is strong. You got good, strong, even young leadership there. Not like we're old, but we are seasoned in the business. But we got some young guys out there that are just doing a great job. Now, Patrick, another thing is, especially whenever it comes down to business opportunities, franchises, just how can you truly understand that something is just not another scam?
Well, for one thing, it's whether or not the marketplace actually looks like there's a need for your product or service in the marketplace. If there's not, then it's probably a scam. This one just happens to have been around for so long that everybody just assumes that doctors are going to either do the billing themselves or they're going to find a company that they can outsource it to. It's much cheaper. It's better because we can collect more than the doctor and their staff can, no matter what system they're using, because we have a cloud-based system that just allows us to bypass the clearinghouse and just come up with the money a lot faster. So if it were a scam, of course, there would be a lot of bad information out there on the internet about it. And you won't find anything because, there's nobody out there reaching around to get something out of your back pocket like there is in that picture.
Well, you're right. I mean, things can be written up on the internet. Obviously, but I think through Google now, you've got star ratings with Google, and And I think some other organizations out there that have vetted American Business Systems, but really the people that have vetted it the most are your current ABS business owners. And we're going to show you at the end of the webinar today how to get a chance to visit with those folks and talk with them. I mean, they'll certainly tell you if they've been scammed or not. Now, you call enough of them, you're gonna run out of people. You're gonna think that Patrick just paid to be on a call list, but that is not the case.
Well,
these are folks that you could actually, if you wanted to, probably go visit if you wanted to.
Well, that's a good point, though, Eric. There are companies out there. I know people find this hard to believe, but business opportunities / franchises sometimes can be shady as well.
Yeah.
There are companies out there that actually pay people to take a phone call and just say the right things and everything. Again, you're right. We have people that you could literally ask them, can I come visit your office? And, I'm sure some of them would let them come because they do have offices. Some of our folks have actually opened up business offices and they don't work out of their home, although, most of them do. The point is, these are real people. Yeah. And you can verify that they're real. They'll give you their, I guess, web address and you can go visit and see what all they're doing out there. But It's such a huge market. That's the great thing, Eric. It doesn't matter how many people get into this business. It's like, it's unsaturatable. That's not a word.
Why not? It is today. Oh yeah, there you go. But yeah, it's keep checking out and making sure, obviously do your due diligence with here at American Business Systems. And I think one of the other things that helps American Business Systems, and I'm gonna kind of, I was just thinking about this, I'm gonna put this up here on the screen for everybody. And that is, recently we started putting up our partnerships up there that we are partnered with American Business Systems. And ABS is partnered with some of the biggest names in the billing industry, really is what it's all about. And on our website, you can kind of see this flipping and it changes and it's got different folks on there, but these are some of the bigger ones that we're associated with. So we're certainly not a fly-by-night company, and we've got everything there to help kind of provide that information back to you. You want to say anything else about Patrick, about businesses being a scam or anything?
Yeah, there are sites out there where people go to complain about businesses too. And I'm not saying that there's nothing out there. There might be something that I don't even know about because I don't spend my day, searching the internet for things.
Right.
But I'm just saying that having been in business for 28 years, you better do what you say you're going to do because it will be out there all over the internet if you're not doing that.
You bet. Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about cost. I mean, again, whether you're investing in a franchise, and I think probably about everybody understands now that if you go into a franchise, you're going to have franchise fees. You may have some royalty fees. You may have some percentage fees that you're going to have to pay. So Patrick, let's talk about what are the other costs outside of my ABS licensing fee, clearinghouse fees, support fees, upgrade fees, user fees. What other fees that I'm going to have to kind of get ready for after I become a licensee of ABS?
Well, I'll tell you the same thing. I asked one of the licensees here recently that I interview them, from time to time, different licensees, and I interviewed one of them, and I said, "Now, Ann, how much have you paid me since you became a licensee?" She said, "Well, nothing. Am I supposed to?" I said, "Well, you're welcome to if you want to send me some more money, but there are no fees." Eric, we're kind of unusual in that most franchises and business opportunity licensing situations, they'll charge an ongoing support fee after the first year, maybe 2 years. Some of them give you 2 years of support. Then they want you to pay another $1,200 a year, for support. And I just told my folks at one point, we were doing that too. I said, "Look, let's not do that anymore. Let's provide support for people, for no charge. As long as they need the support, we should be here to help them. We make money on the back end, as we'll talk about a little bit later here as well. But the point is, there's no support fees, no upgrades, no codes. You don't download new, pieces of the software. We don't have user seats, no clearinghouse fees that you pay. Not a dime comes to ABS after you pay that initial licensing fee, which is, by the way, $29,000, $28,990.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so folks, again, get back with the business coach that you're working with here at American Business Systems, and they'll go over any other costs that you might think about asking about. And they'll kind of go through all of that. But there are no, like we said here, clearinghouse fees for those that have been in billing before. No upgrades. You're not going to pay for any upgrades or user fees, and so that's a good thing to kind of help you. Okay, so how does ABS? You mentioned this just a moment ago. How does ABS make money on an ongoing basis? If I'm pay this one fee to you, and I'm not paying you any franchise fees, how do you stay afloat? You must be selling a whole bunch of licenses here every month.
Oh, well, I wished we were. At $29,000, that's a pretty steep investment for anybody. Now,
Sure.
if you look at other franchises, most franchise fees are $50,000 plus.
Right.
So ours is on the lower end, but we make money on all of the services. You showed a picture earlier of all the different partners. Well, all those partners share
Yes.
the revenue on the back end. Doctors pay some fees to access the system, for example. So we get a little piece of that, a few pennies off of each transaction. And that's what keeps us in business. So we don't have to charge anything else.
Right. Yeah. So it's a great way for you that you're not having to worry about fees and paying anything back to ABS. Here is a great way and a great company to be able to work with, work for, or work alongside with that's going to help you build your business, because they know that if they help you get a client, ABS is going to get some fees back from those partners that we have here. Just little bitty pennies, a little bit of that, adds up quite a bit. So that's how we have that ongoing support and keep putting out, brand new material and paying for the staff that runs American Business Systems. So folks, this is it's a brilliant business model that Patrick and his family have come up with. So
you mentioned earlier, though, Eric, about royalties. A lot of people don't realize it, but franchises, you pay them a percentage of your gross revenue each month. Let's say you take in $1,000, you got to give them, maybe 10% of that, $100 back to them, just right off the top. And that's just no way to live, because every month you're just wondering, well, how am I going to pay the bills if I got to pay my royalty fee?
Yes, absolutely. All right. Do I need a background or a prior training or prior experience in medical billing or coding? Patrick.
Now, these are all good questions, come to think of it, Eric, that people should be writing down. Yes. However, I did print out these slides, and I think it's in the
chat area.
Chat window. Yeah. If there's a little chat button down there and you click on that, you should see a PDF file there of all the slides here. Anyway, I'm just saying that you should ask these questions to the people that you call. When we give you a reference list of some of the licensees who've already gone through our training and they're running their business already, these are questions you should ask them.
Yes.
You'll find that, Eric, I would guesstimate from my interviews that I've done, and when we were doing live training, I would ask the classes when they came down here at the hotel, how many of you had any background in medical billing? And very few would even put up their hands that they'd had a background in the medical field at all.
Right.
That's doing the actual billing. So the answer is, you do not need any background or training, because we teach you everything you need to know in our course.
Mike is putting over here in the chat area. He says, I'm not seeing those slides. So maybe we can put those over there again, Patrick, and see if that. But he also did say, if you said that the company's going on a trip to Hawaii, he's all in. So I think you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. Well, that's we've had licensees tell us they've done that. I mean, as long as there's an internet connection at your hotel. I had one lady said the Wi-Fi even reached outside the hotel to the beach, and she just worked there on the beach.
Yeah. Lee is
Oh.
asking, so there is zero out of pocket for all of the 12 different revenue streams to offer to our clients?
Oh, that's a good point. Yes,
Yeah.
we haven't made that clear that all of that's included in that licensing fee. Folks, there is nothing else that we have to sell you. You just will not see us hawking new things. As we come out with new services, we just roll those out to our licensees on our private website and say, hey, here's a new service. Do you want to offer it or not? Here's all the training. Here's the marketing materials. we give all that to all of our people because, again, we make some money on each one of those.
Well, yeah, and one thing that we're not, Lee, and for the rest of those folks that are on here today, there's a couple of brand new services that we've rolled out in the last 5 to 6 months, and again, all of those services are just, you're kind of just grandfathered into those. So if there's a new service that comes out, you're going to get that. It's not that you're going to have to pay anything extra for that. Now, again, speaking of fees, obviously we want to be transparent here in that sometimes there are going to be fees with some of these different services, but those fees are built into your fees that you're billing for the doctor. So to make it clear, and your business coach can talk you through that, but whenever it comes out to out-of-pocket money, you should not have to have any out-of-pocket money, because again, the doctors are paying those fees. Those are customizable custom fees that they're accustomed to. So those are some of the things that you'll learn during your 2-3 weeks of training, and obviously learn more about it whenever you're working with your business coach there. But again, about the training, we train you here. You don't have to have prior experience. Now, again, you're going to learn as time goes on. You're going to learn more. And then I think this is a good spot, Patrick, to even talk about that if someone does get a new doctor and maybe it's a podiatrist or a regular family practitioner, or maybe a cardiologist, maybe something like that, some specialty, and they're asked a specific question about billing or codes or anything like that. ABS is you become part of the nation's largest network of America of billers in the United States. And so if you need specific help, we've got a business owner that can actually help you through those specifics or those specialties as you need them. So that's why we say you don't need any background, because you've got 28 years of experience with ABS, plus all of the different ABS business owners out there that are willing to help you out there as well.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So let's, how many providers can one handle, or how many claims can one person file?
Oh, we got this from the very beginning, didn't we, Eric? People were concerned,
Yes.
it's going to take me, 30 minutes per claim or whatever. And we've actually gotten this question asked to people I've interviewed, and the average seems to be around 2 to 3 minutes to file a claim. Now, if it's a brand new patient that has never been put into the system, that might take, 5 minutes, because you've got to put some demographic information in there. But one person should be able to handle. Well, gosh, if it's 2 or 3 minutes a claim, let's round it up to 5 minutes. That'd be 12 an hour, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So if you did work an 8-hour day, you'd be filing almost 100 claims in one day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so if you think about it, folks, I mean, kind of rule of thumb, if you want to grow this business, and we're going to show you some numbers here in a little bit, but if you want to grow this business to a 6-figure income, you're going to find out that you'll be able to do that with maybe 2, if not 3 doctors. And then when you do that, you just kind of think of your time. If one doctor takes you about an hour and a half, that's 3 hours for 2, and then, 4.5 hours for 3. So, you're well within your 8-hour period you think of 8 hours of work a day. Now, obviously, you'll always find something to do, because you'll always continue to keep marketing and wanting to do those things. But you should be able to grow your business that one person can handle, 2 to 3, maybe 4 doctors, depending upon their specialty and load. So absolutely. I love what Mike says here. He says, I don't work for ABS. I am in the same boat as the rest of the people here on the webinar, but I am looking at other franchises. I have not seen any under 30K and no ongoing fees. I have a health background, so I think that will help, but this is a no-brainer. I am in. So thank you, Mike. It's good to, hopefully we'll get to see you and interview you as you've seen us do with some other folks here. That'd be great to do. So Patrick, in just kind of logistics parts here, just kind of running the show here, how does one get the data from the doctor's office to actually do the billing?
Well, you get in your car and you drive to their office. And you hope that they have all that paperwork ready for you.
Oh,
we used to do that, Eric. Linda and I We used to go pick it up. We'd tell them to put it in a big envelope there and just leave it up front. We'd just come by and, grab the envelope, and there was all the paperwork that we needed. Nowadays, of course, all that's done electronically. We have a
Yes.
way through our electronic system, iDocs now, that you can get all the data from the doctor. They just scan it in and upload it, and it goes right into your system. Or
Yes.
they can just fax it to you. That's always an option. Just fax
Yeah.
it. Still, there's no paper involved there. It's all electronic that way, and that's why, Eric, a lot of people will get a second monitor. That way, they have the document that comes in electronically from the doctor on one monitor, and our system on the other, where they're actually putting the data in.
Yes. And folks, if you're using the iClaim system and the doctor's using the electronic medical records, that all comes in within the system. So there's really nothing that you have to do. It's all going to actually come right on in the system. But there are some doctors that are still utilizing. So you always have to be thinking, I've got to be able to be a little flexible with some doctors. Some doctors are a little bit more sophisticated than others, and some want it a little bit differently. So you're going to find one doctor is not always going to do it the way another doctor does, but you can kind of streamline it with certain things, and that's how you'd be able to get the data there. Now, I love this question, because this is one, whenever we started doing billing, and a lot of people start doing billing, they want to know who pays me. And this is where I think where people come in from this franchise mentality, that they're thinking they may be getting paid from the franchise because they're getting a little bit of money. But so who pays me, the doctor or American Business Systems?
Well, it's the doctor. Basically, what you do, our system, of course, will tell you how much you billed for that doctor in that 30-day, say a month period.
Right.
It'll show you right on the screen. Let's say you billed $100,000 for the doctor. And if you're charging, 6, 7, 8%, depending on the doctor, of course, but let's say it's right in the middle there, 7%, then you'd be making 7% of that would be what, $7,000.
Right.
Now, how do you get that? Well, it's pretty simple. You basically invoice the doctor and show him the report that shows all the claims that you filed and the total down at the bottom. And then you just say 7% of that is this.
Yeah.
Now, what most licensees do, Eric, we found, is they set the doctor up on an automatic ACH directly from their bank account. So the doctor just looks at the invoice, agrees with it. You give them, say 7 days to, argue anything if they want to, but usually they just let it go through, and then you tell them, I'm just going to draw it right out of your bank account. And that's the way that they have that right in the agreement. That way they don't have to worry about the doctor mailing a check.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is great. This is a great discussion here. I mean, just the example that you gave, if doctor's billing out 100,000 and you're charging 7%, and that's $7,000 a you, that's $7,000 a you. Just think about that. You don't have to write a percentage check to ABS for anything. So that 7,000 is directly to you. So I just wanted to make that point clear. What is the best approach when you start contacting doctors? So what do you find out is the best approach there?
Eric, if you could find that slide that has those 2 books that Adam and I wrote, I'll talk about that, because folks, we've designed marketing materials in partnership with a doctor. She's a retired surgeon, Dr. Vicki Ragnar. She's been with us now for about 7 or 8 years. And basically she helps us write these books. As you can see, I wrote one there with her as the co-author, and Adam did the same thing here recently. Those books are actually marketing tools for you. Now, you can't see that here on the screen, but you can personalize these books and have your company name right on the cover of these books. And it's great because it's, I think we charge, our printing cost on a book like that that's personalized, Eric, is about a little less than $5. So say it's $5 a book. That's a pretty cheap, giveaway use in business. And we teach you how to get that in the hands of the doctor, past the office manager, right into the hands of the doctor, and even mark those books with some highlights and some little sticky tabs, so that when the doctor gets it, they don't have to read the whole book. They just read some of those highlighted pages, and all of a sudden you've piqued their interest. Eric, I had a licensee here just a while back that I interviewed. He said he went out during the pandemic, and he would mail some of these books out with a little personalized note to the doctor. Hey, this might be of help to you. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. And the doctors called him up, all 3 of them that he mailed out that week. They all called him up. Two of them had him actually come out and do what we call a practice analysis.
Right.
And then one of them he signed up. So it's a great marketing tool. And at $5 a piece, that's just an expensive business card is what that is, because it has your contact information right there on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Patrick, I'll bring this back up again that, just 5 days ago, you and I were on with about 30 of our business owners already that are out there and asking questions. And we're finding out that our business owners or ABS business owners are getting back out. They're doing meetup groups. They're networking with people hand in hand, just like here. So I think you're good to go back out there and really build your business and be what you need to be, because one of the number one techniques that we've always found is when you're networking with other people and you get a warm handoff from one person that knows this person to another. And I tell you what, how quickly the doors open from there. And a lot of our licensees have certainly gotten their first doctor that way.
Yes, many have gotten it with the direct approach, but we teach about a dozen different ways in our training. We have 10 training modules that you go through, and a couple of those modules are specifically on how do I get clients.
Right.
And we have a lady who's teaching that class who's been in this business actually as a licensee herself for about 10 years. And she knows everything there is to know about getting clients, because she's got clients. Eric, she's got clients now in 14 different states.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she's building this thing big nationwide. I think her goal is somewhere down the line to sell it and walk away with $1 million and go open that, McDonald's that she's always wanted to own.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is a great question here based upon maybe you found a doctor, you're trying to talk to these doctors. So how do you address a doctor's question regarding your experience or lack of when you're just getting started out?
Well, one of the things we do is with the personalized books that I just mentioned, you actually are building credibility, because you see a doctor's best source of information is another doctor. So they trust other doctors more than they do anybody else. If you are on the cover of a book with a doctor, you've got huge credibility there, starting out, even because you're a part of an organization that has a doctor as a part of it. But you also use something similar to what you've already said today, Eric, and that is that I'm a part of the nation's largest network of independent medical billers.
Right.
And we do thousands of claims every day for hundreds of doctors from coast to coast.
Right.
Well, that's true. That's true of our network. Not you personally yet. You may not have even filed one claim, but hey, when I tried to sell my home a few years back, I found a Century 21 lady that lived right here in my neighborhood. Now, I found out that she'd never sold a house yet. She was brand new at this. But you know what? I went with her because, well, number one, she was a neighbor, but number two, she was also a part of an organization that was nationwide and that I knew Century 21 knew what they were doing. Well, that's why you, as a part of our group, you see, can always say, I have, hundreds of people that I'm a part of and that are backing me and helping me.
Absolutely. And then, if you get asked a question that you just don't know how to answer, you can say, you know what, let me research that out for you. But the training that you're going to get after, when you become a licensee here with American Business Systems, you're going to know the majority of the lingo and the majority of what to say. And our trainer is going to actually work with you on some practice, this is how you answer these things. But then you're going to go through what's called a practice analysis. It'll be through that the doctor won't even think about your experience or lack of experience. So that's going to be very, very, very helpful. Patrick, how quickly will the doctor get paid from the time I create a claim?
Oh, wow. Well, we used to say, an average of 14 days, I said at one time, Eric, but you know what? We've heard licensees say that they've actually billed something for the doctor on Monday and the doctor had the money in their bank account on Friday.
Yes.
I mean, that's fast.
Yes.
I think the average still is about 10 days, but still, in business today, that's pretty fast to get your money. And since we set it up so that the money does get deposited directly into the bank account of the doctor, they love that, Eric. They see the money and all of a sudden it's just appearing on a regular basis, and they can hardly believe it because we increase doctors' revenue sometimes 20 to 30% over what they were bringing in doing the billing themselves.
Absolutely. Before we go to the next screen here, Bernice is asking, can a doctor have more than one medical billing and coding service? I'm thinking of a situation where a doctor might say he's already has someone taking care of the billing and coding. Yeah, Bernice, it's a great question. And when you're doing a billing for a doctor, you can only do billing with one billing company. It's not like they can do a little bit with one billing company and a little bit with another billing company. And, we've been in this business long enough where doctors have asked some of our brand new licensees, or even some of our long-term licensees that have said, hey, can I just try you out for 30 days? That doesn't work. And so that's why, Bernice, we will teach you and show you how to work that practice analysis, because there's a huge difference in billing services. So one of the things I want to say to you, Bernice, if you haven't seen a demonstration of the iClaim and EMRX platform, get back with your business coach and have them kind of walk you through, because that will show the doctor, after you do that practice analysis, that'll show the doctor that they're probably need to change some things. And so you're kind of doing an overhaul with a lot of these doctors to get that money. So to get the type of turnaround that Patrick's talking about, they really need to be on a completely different type of service altogether.
Yeah, having said that, we have licensees signing up doctors all week long that are signing them up and using their system. Eric, once you learn how to do medical billing, it's just a matter of learning the particular software that the doctor uses. So if they're using something that they just love and they don't think they want to invest any in a different system or switch or anything like that, then you can always just take over their billing. I could run an ad today on Craigslist probably, and find somebody who could do the billing on any billing system that's out there. There are people who do medical billing right now on XYZ system, and they'd be willing to probably work from their home and make money doing the billing for you. You'd be paying them just an hourly wage probably for doing that. But the point is, there's lots and lots of doctors out there that she says, well, can a doctor have more than one medical? And what if they say he's already has someone taking care of the billing and coding? Well, they do. I can assure you that every doctor has somebody taking care of. They
already have somebody, that's for sure.
They're either inside that office themselves, or they've already found somebody else to outsource it to, and maybe they're not happy with that. Eric, we've seen that happen, haven't we? Doctors switch from another billing company to one of our licensees just because they were unhappy.
Yeah. Speaking of home, how will doctors react to the fact that we are running our business from our home? Well, let me tell you this. First of all, the pandemic has taken care of that. And so they
assume you're working from home. Right?
Yeah, everybody assumes you're working from some remote place right now. But that's a legitimate question, Patrick. I mean, obviously before the pandemic happened, most people think, and most people that are trying to get into this business obviously think that I probably ought to have a brick and mortar, and that's just not. We weren't even doing that prior to the pandemic.
Even Cynthia, our lead instructor, she runs that her own business, and at one time she opened up an office because she's got two boys that are pretty loud.
Yeah.
So she wanted to get out of the house away from the boys when she was working, and she did rent a little office somewhere. But you know what? As soon as the pandemic hit, she shut that thing down and just worked out of her home. And she says, I've just learned to shut my door and put a sign on the door, be quiet. And she just works right there out of her home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So running a business from a home is really not a big thing. It's almost like if you're not, then people will go, why wouldn't you?
Something's wrong here.
Yeah. All right. So what are the main factors that make my billing company different from others?
Oh, wow.
We can do a whole webinar on that one.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the clearinghouse, Eric, because some people are not aware. A clearinghouse is a third-party company that if you get into medical billing, you've got to hook up with a clearinghouse. Now, there's a dozen of them out there, so you've got to do the research, and you've got to find out and see which ones pay the quickest, which ones are forward the claims fastest, what kind of rejection rate they have, whether they have good customer service. You'd have to do all that research on your own. Well, you don't have to do that with us, because our system, as far as I know, Eric, it still is the only cloud-based system that is a clearinghouse built into it. In other words, we don't send the claims out to a third party to clear the claims or make sure that they're scrubbed clean, so to speak, and then forward them and so forth. We do all that for our licensees, and so the buck stops here. But the nice thing is that nationwide, our rejection rate is less than 2%. Now, in most other companies, that runs you 20 to 30% rejection. Why? That's because you're sending it to a third party. We don't.
Right.
We just send it directly to the insurance companies, and they pay it because we're so big and they know who we are. And yeah, it works out great. That's one of the big reasons why it's.
Yeah. And that's where I encourage everybody, if you haven't seen a demonstration of the software, get that done in the near future. Here's a great question. Who are my competitors?
Well, your competitors are any doctor that's doing the billing themselves inside their own office with their own staff, using their own software. But folks, they've got a lot of hidden costs in doing that they don't even think about sometimes. They've got IT people that have to keep the system up and running, upgrades to the software that they have to download and install on a regular basis, backups that they need to do on a daily basis, because that's the HIPAA rule for that.
Right.
There's just all kinds of things that they themselves should not be dealing with. They should be focusing on the patients and let somebody else handle the business side of it. But of course, there are other billing companies out there in your area too. Do a little research and you'll find out probably that there's, several dozen, billing companies that are all wanting the doctor's business. The difference is we have something completely different, and that is we have a dozen other services that can help the doctor with their revenue that nobody else has. That's those ancillary services we mentioned earlier.
Yeah. All right. Moving right along. Aren't doctors already doing their own billing? We've already just kind of discussed that, because sometimes, folks, that really kind of does become your first set of competitors there. Then you've got other people in the market that are doing billing. What you'll find is that sometimes you'll find a local doctor and their billing is being done in a different state. A lot of times you're going to find that they're overseas. And so, yes, there are doctors who are doing their own billing or having it outsourced to somebody else. And why do they need me? And again, Patrick just answered that, because with the iClaim and the EMRX platform and the built-in clearinghouse, it takes it a completely different way. So you want to learn to separate yourself from the competition. Well, that's what you need in this marketplace. You need something that's clearly different than anything else that's out there. And that's why Dr. Wood needs you. And then a lot of times doctors need you because you're right down the street from them. Knowing that you're in town, or at least you're like here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you live in one of the suburbs out of Fort Worth and you're working here, but your doctors are downtown Fort Worth, or you live in Fort Worth and doctors in Dallas, at least they know they can get to you, or you can get to them pretty quickly if they need to. So a lot of doctors like local. That's always a good way to market.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to explain to people the way we present this to a doctor is we do that practice analysis that we mentioned earlier, Eric, and that takes that can take 30, 45 minutes to go through that with the office manager. But once you've gotten that information, you come back with a printed proposal that we help you put together that says, here's what I can do for you. Here's the problems I saw when I ask you these questions, and here's the solutions to those. So why do they need you? You won't even know until you've gone through that practice analysis.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because anything else, you're just trying to tell people you're better than anybody else. Let that practice analysis do the work that it's supposed to be doing. Yeah. And speaking of, localities, where is my territory restrictions, Patrick?
That's it. You're looking at it. The United States. Is that Hawaii down there in Alaska?
Yeah, I think, somebody said Hawaii. Let's sign me up. Well, you know what? From here, I'm sure you can get a doctor out there in Hawaii or Alaska and take
Yeah.
a trip out there. But a lot of people, Mike just said, I claim Hawaii. You know, a lot of people do ask because we talk in terms of franchises, and a lot of franchises are driven by zip codes or a multiple of zip codes that create like a selling area. We don't, because again, here you could be living in Texas and have a doctor in Florida. So just like I said earlier, you may have run across doctors who have, you know, billing companies elsewhere. And you just said that our lead trainer, she's out in Arizona and she's got people out in 14 different states.
Yeah. I asked her one time, well, you know, did you go out? Did you fly out? How did you sign these people up? She said, no. When I get a referral from a doctor, I get on the phone and I talk to that doctor and I say, well, if you're interested, I do have some time available that I could, you know, do your billing. If you want to do that, I can send you the paperwork. It's all done over the phone and through the email and fax and so forth, because you want to not be restricted. I mean, that doctor in Dallas might know some doctor in California or New York. And if they refer him to you, you want to be able to sign that doctor up. Doctors don't care, especially if it's a referral from another doctor. They just trust that other doctor. And if that other doctor is happy with your service, sometimes they just say, just send me the paperwork. Let me sign it and let's get going.
You bet. Now, the next slide I'm going to show here kind of goes along with one of Mike's questions. And he says, I think you answered this, but if and when we sign up, it is 15 hours of training. Is that correct? Is this all done online or do we have any personal training? So Patrick, you want to talk about how do I learn everything I need to know?
Yeah, Mike, there's 10 modules. Each module is about an hour and a half. So that is 15 hours. Now, it could be longer than that, depending on how many questions you have, but you do that training online via Zoom with a live instructor going through that with you. It's like it's in person, but it's not, you know, you don't need to be in person nowadays. You can do everything over Zoom because you can show everything you need to show right there on the screen. That person will go into the software and let you see the software. It's a wonderful way to learn. And it's done at your schedule, on your schedule. In other words, if you're working a full-time job, the instructor can work that into where we can do that training offline to get you trained.
Right.
Now, after the 15 hours, you'll be having access to our private licensee website, which has over 100 hours of additional training. Now, these are more in-depth, like level 2, you know, advanced trainings on most of our topics. But there's just lots to learn out there and you'll never, ever get through it all. I don't think.
Never get through it all. Absolutely. Yeah. So hopefully it helps answer your question there about the training there. Someone just wrote in about what if I go to a doctor and they already are using somebody through American Business Systems and they want to go through you? What happens then?
Well, we've had that happen one time, Eric, in 28 years. So
yes.
I don't think that's a major problem. People think it is. For example, here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we probably have a dozen licensees, you know, that are actively building their business. None of them ever call us up and say, hey, I ran into a doctor, but he'd already signed up with another, you know, blah, blah, blah. It just doesn't happen because there's so many doctors out there. It would be like somebody signing up with Allstate Insurance and saying, you know, my brother-in-law, you know, had signed up with them already or something like that. In other words, it's just too big a market. You can't saturate this market.
Right. Right. All right. How can ABS continue to support me for life? Now, I think we've already kind of chatted about that earlier on, but Patrick, you want to kind of go into a little bit more in detail?
Yeah, now you'll have to ask the person who invited you to this webinar to go into detail. In other webinars, we've gone into detail on all of those services. Some of them are listed right here on the screen. You see Code Right there, and Audit Guard, and iDocs Now, and Choice Pay, and QuickLect. Those are other services that we've come up with that will help the doctor with their cash flow and revenue, but you don't have to offer them. They're all optional. They're in your package, and you can offer them if you want to, but you don't have to. So the ones who do, we make money on all those services behind the scenes. So that covers all of our support costs. We just don't have to charge for support.
Absolutely. All right. So if some people have downloaded the slide deck today, and you go through it and you go, gosh, I think they skipped over a couple. Well, we did, because we're starting to run out of time, and I want to make sure that we get through everything that you need to get here. But so I wanted to talk real quickly about, what does the average person make doing medical billing? Obviously, if you are investing in something, you want to know how much you're going to make out of it. And so we've got a small little calculation here, and you can actually go to our website now. And if you were to go to absystems.com and then scroll all the way down to the very bottom, there is at the bottom part of it, there is an income calculator down there. Just go down there.
It's real tiny. It's like it's part of the footer.
Yeah, it's part of the footer. Yeah, but basically, what I've done here is that, let's say a doctor sees 25 patients a day, and then we just use big round numbers here, and each of those patients pay the doctor at least $100 a day. Well, obviously, the doctor is making $2,500 per day. And again, some of you might think, wow, that's great, the doctor is just banking all that money. Remember, they've got staff, an office building, all the other things that they're paying for, plus their medical school, still some of them. Yeah. If you take $2,500 per day times 20 billing days a month, that's about $50,000 in revenue, expected revenue that the doctor's getting. So again, there's that $50,000, and let's take that and then times that times 7%. So you've got $50,000 times 7%. Your average earnings for this one doctor per month is about $3,500 per month. Now, so you can see there already, that's going to be done for less than 90 minutes a day. Well, you take 3,500 times 12. Let me do that calculation here real quickly for us, because I still have to use a calculator. Times 12, that comes out to $42,000 a year. Well, you can see, as I said earlier, if you had 3 doctors at that, you're at $126,000 a year working 3 doctors. And again, probably 5 to 6 hours a day at doing that.
Yeah. Now, do we have licensees that have more than that? Yeah, absolutely. I've got licensees, Eric, that have dozens of doctor clients. I mean, one of them has over 100. So if you do the math, that person is in the 7-figure revenue.
Yes.
And it's not typical, of course. I'm just giving you the example that there is no limitations here, folks. You can build this as big as you want to, or keep it as small as you want to.
Yes. Yeah. And you can see why, obviously ABS wants to help you get that first doctor, because once you get that first doctor, the second and the third comes pretty quickly. So what it normally takes a startup business just to get into the black, that means that they've got their investment paid. They're what's called a return on investment. And we had a webinar a few weeks ago that we talked about that. Typically, your return on investment catching up is 2 to 3 years. Here with American Business Systems, within 2 to 3 years, you'll have that paid back plus more. And so you will truly could be within 2 years billing for 3 to 5 doctors already. So you're way past what you would think of as your return. If you're at $28,990 here with American Business Systems, you can see that with really, once you've got your first doctor within less than a year, about 10 months, you've already got your return on investment back, and now you're in the black, and you're kind of working that through and adding one more doctor, and you're at that point you're up in the upper 80s and 90,000 with just a couple of doctors, with just what we're showing you right here. And that's typical. I mean, this is not a pie in the sky, and that's why we talk about 2 to 3 doctors and not 10 to 12 or 15, which would put you in the $1 million bracket. But then at that point, you've got people that you're having to pay for doing it all of that. But keeping it within the home and keeping it as most people like to have it, 3 to 5 doctors is where you're really going to be there.
Yeah. And again, that's up to you. It's your business, so you can build it as big or keep it as small as you want. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that kind of goes back with a slide that I did kind of skip over. How many doctors do I need to make a CEO type of income? And Patrick, again, most doctors are making themselves, after they paid their staff and they paid everybody else, and they end up getting paid themselves, they're making 150 to maybe $200,000 a year. And the time that it took them to go to school and everything, you're talking that, gosh, with about 4 to 5 doctors, you're in that same bracket there. You're at that probably 175 to 225 a year. So if you're thinking about what is it going to take for me to get there, that's why we've got a series about 5 doctors here. So if you kind of took that number out there that I had earlier, I've got that. Let me divide that back to 3 and then times that times 5. You're at $210,000 with the same scenario that I put out there just a while ago. So you're almost at $250,000 a year with 5 doctors. And again, those numbers are going to differ because of the specialties of the doctor. So that's a good way to kind of think and look at it. Patrick, we've got just a few more minutes. I'm going to jump right on over to the end here. If you don't mind, let me get over to the money back guarantee. How about we do that?
Yeah, there you go. Now, folks, this is funny, Eric. Every time I talk about this, somebody's always asking the question, why would you offer people's money back if you have what you think you have? Well, that's exactly why we do that. We know what we have. And the requests for refunds have been so small over the years that we don't really even think about it anymore. We thought at first, well, it could be that every 3rd person who comes through here goes through the training, learns everything they need to know, then asks for their money back, and then goes and starts their own business. Well, I'm sure that could happen if somebody, wanted to, they could do that. But Eric, once they've gone through our training, I think they realize how valuable it is and how that you could not even begin to put together everything that we've put together, for $29,000. It's just a tremendous value as far as a business goes. But so that's basically it. It's in writing. It's in our agreement. It's basically says, if you go through our training and within the first 30 days, you just decide, what, this is just not what I thought it was going to be, just ask for your money back and we'll part as friends.
There you go. You're not going to get that in any other franchise group there. No. All right, Patrick, I'm going to kind of step through these a little quickly because I've got to get going, and I'll just leave it at that last slide. And if I need to peel on out, I'll do that. But let's first talk about the 6 different steps. The first thing you want to do is maybe download that research guide.
Yeah, in the email that was sent to you by the person that you're dealing with here at the office about this webinar, there's probably a link in that for it, but it's also on our website now, Eric, out there if they go to the website. And this is a 65-page document it's PDF, of course, so we just download it to you, but it has a lot of information that's not anywhere on our website. We want only the people who are sincerely interested in getting started in the business to request this, and that tells us that you are interested. So just ask for that from the person that you've been talking to. Then browse our YouTube channel. It's out there on youtube.com/YABS. You'll see a lot of the interviews that I've done with our existing business owners, and a lot of those people will ask the same questions to them that we asked today, and you'll see their answers to those questions. They're the ones I've listened to, not me and Eric. Me and Eric.
Listen to the interviews.
Yeah,
absolutely. Speaking of listening to the interviews, you'll give folks an ABS owner's reference list. Just go back and check with your ABS rep that you're working here, and they'll give you the owner's reference list for you to make direct calls. Again, so watch what you can on YouTube, call those people. You can't get any better than that.
Yeah, here's some of them right here. These are some of the people you'll actually talk to that have started their business. Some of them have been in business for, some of them 10, 15 years. Others just signed up in the last year or so. Just ask for that reference list. Okay, then ask for that live demo that Eric mentioned earlier. We have people here at our office, that's what they do, is they get online with you and they go through the system and let you ask all the questions you want about the software. Since we don't have it on a CD or a DVD, we can't mail it out to you, but we can go through it with you live using Zoom like this, one-on-one, and just let you ask all the questions you want. Then review the purchase agreement. Your ABS rep will send that to you by email, of course. We have some funding instructions in there that give you some ideas as to where to come up with the funds and how to get that to us. It's just a 4-page document. It's not real in depth, but it covers everything that we needed to cover. And you'll find it very, very simple and easy way to get signed up with us. Then, as soon as you've done that, send it in and send your funding, of course. And then you can schedule your training with your trainer. We'll put you in contact with the person who's actually going to do the training with you. And y'all can decide, how it fits into your schedule. You'll be at one computer. Our trainer, of course, will be there teaching about marketing or whatever the topic is. And you'll be there listening, and sometimes they'll turn on their webcam so you can see who they are. And, you get to know them. And it's just a very open, friendly way of learning nowadays.
Absolutely. Well, Patrick, we can leave this up here for a little bit. I was trying, while you were going through that, I was seeing if there was any particular questions from the audience that we had and see if there was anything else, but I think we've answered everything and more. We've gone through a lot of different questions this afternoon. So thank you for your time this afternoon.
Yeah, and if we didn't get to your question, folks, please get back with the person who invited you to this webinar. Just email them back. There's an email address if you don't know of any other email address to use, info@absystems.com. And there's our toll-free number there. You can call us as well and just say, who's my rep? Who should I be contacting and talking to about this stuff? And they'll get you all fixed up. Yeah.